and Eduardo Diaz. Today we're going to talk about the juvenile criminal system. Um, and we're going to talk about why it is important and why we should have juvenile courts which have diversion programs for these juveniles in order for them to stay away from the adult correctional system, which statistics have shown that it only makes them worse and follow the wrong path, and also take off opportunities such as jobs or any other stuff that they want to do, since they have to apply in their um, if for a job or something, they have to say that they have a a criminal record, and this usually takes them off the market for jobs. This also helps them get back to the community, follow their education system, and stay away from trouble, since they are supervised by the community or by probation officers. What is your guys' input in this topic?
Well, I just feel like kind of like not going into real deep into it, because obviously there's so much contested surrounding such a sensitive topic. I think in order for us to kind of like help out our case, we can just go start from the bottom, kind of like the grassroots, the original cause in a way. Um, there's a couple of things that the kind of like that we did in place in our group project, and it'll be evident through some of the website or PowerPoint stuff that we have, and it's kind of like the attitude of the courts when dealing with juveniles, with children, underage children here, at least in the United States, and it's that they it's not necessarily seen as a positive or negative in our context. It's just in our context. It's just that it is what it is, and we have this idea where the courts do look at the children kind of like a more of an opportunity worth giving to them for rehabilitation, to fix their situation. We actually got a couple two studies that we did weed up and sources that we're gonna apply into our presentation. One of them is being on through a old case actually from back in what is it? Year number summer '99. It is an old case, but it's pretty much on the social control and the delinquency youth status achievement, and that has to deal with the parameters of when one's growing up, all these social pressures that are active through a young teenager's lifestyle in pretty much any urban center across the United States, and how these end up affecting the childhood and eventually into adulthood. Same thing for another study that was actually more recent in 2008. This is just in particular with Korea. And it was worth mentioning though, because although it is an Asian country, that they got some of those Western values align with the West or the United States. Very big differences, but the whole idea is there as well. It's the same thing, and that one has to do with the general strain theory, which essentially gives out an idea that strains in society put pressure in adolescents, and these end up, pressuring the kids into a delinquent status. Obviously, there's a whole lot of things that we can discuss and that apply as well and that are missing in here, but that's the general context idea. I don't know if you guys wanted to continue on to that, or you guys had something else to say.
Well, I'm going to say something about the psychological aspect about it. There's some graphs in the website that I added in the first page that show how teenagers from age 15 to 21, they are still very impulsive and they do not think about the future very much. And this also affects such as what Eduardo was saying, that they have the social pressure, the parents' pressure, the school's pressure, and that kind of stresses them out and also pushes them to the wrong side of the road, I guess I could say. Yeah, would you like to add anything?
Yeah, like, I don't want to say, like, they're not guilty for the things they did, but in some way I think that they are acting because of the influence of the people they are around them, like their friends or at school. Sometimes we don't think, like in the future, we just react to a simple event that is happening, and we don't think that that's gonna have a consequence in our future. It just, as you mentioned, like going to jail, or even having like
A record?
a record already. It's gonna damage your life forever, you know. And it's just for like a stupid act that you made without thinking. It's gonna ruin your life. So yeah.
Yeah, that's why we want these diversion programs. Would you like to mention the output of the court, Michael?
Yeah, I think, well, just to piggyback on what you guys were saying real quick, I think that a lot of times the minors, they really don't think about the consequences. And depending on the severity of the crime, a lot of them will continue to reoffend because, you know, it is a misdemeanor, or maybe there was just
Yeah,
kind of
because
like,
there's no real consequences, and they will keep doing it because there's no like real.
And then you know, they also, since like you were saying, they don't even think about the future because they think about their age now. They think about, oh, you know, I'm so young, you know, I have all this time, I can, you know, it doesn't really matter. I'll do probation for a year or maybe a couple months, and then I'll, you know, be back at it again. And like the brain doesn't fully develop until the age 25. So I think that's, you know, these programs, they do definitely help out, but I think depending on the age and the severity of the crime, they kind of look at it like, you know, okay, like I'll just jump through your hoops and whatever you need, and then we'll be at it again. But in 2005, the Supreme Court actually held that that became in compliance that it protects that the U.S. Constitution protects people from being sentenced to death for crimes committed when they were 18. So they actually banned in 2005 the death penalty for minors. There's a lot of debate because they still believe that 18 is still a young age. So they wanted to say that 21, if you commit the crime, you know, you can still get the death penalty. But it's still up for debate right now. They do have it at 18, so it is still pretty low because they feel that people in their mid-20s, they still want to do the thrill-seeking. They still want to be, you know, related to judgment, thrill-seeking, and consequential thinking do not mature until your mid-20s. So.
I see.
Would you like to talk about your
Well,
experience?
Well, it's not a personal one, but that actually kind of makes sense because, you know, in this case, it might not necessarily give to that side because obviously there's a lot of masses of juvenile offenders, repeated offenders that they know what they're doing, and then they continue it. But back to the original, you know, context of the trying to fix that the other way, opposite around, and that speaks for this for these so-called social pressures that some of these kids actually do go through as a fact. And it's not an excuse, you're right, to excuse any long behavior. But this kind of does also remind me something, even going back to the original problem. And it has nothing to do with the courts, but it does deal with the police. And we're not going to jump into that topic because it's so big. But I do recall that there's this thing, many urban cities actually do it. But there's like these databases that the police agents use, and one, for example, is the LAPDs in Los Angeles. I think it's called SoCal or something like that. But essentially, it's just this one database that collects information on youngsters that are suspected of engaging in crimes. And all the officer at the moment has to be able to do is just associate the assuming offender that he's about to commit a crime or he was about to, and that's pretty much it. And he gets into that gang member database, and that sticks with the kid until pretty much to adulthood. They can't really fight it. You have to actually go to court and contest it in the California system. I don't even know exactly how that works, but that's just another one of those examples of those social pressures that these two sources that I mentioned earlier talk about. And like I said, it's just not really an excuse. A lot of these dudes kind of do deserve to be there in a way, but that's what we're trying to fix and not because it just continues on, and then it gets to the courts, and then we got this major mass population of inmates, and then here in places like in Texas, you're 17, you're pretty messed up, you're gonna go in with the big boys, and
Get worse.
Well, the point of having the juvenile court is to separate the risk offenders, the high risk, and that they're going to be doing it again and again and again. then those juveniles are going to be sent to the adult correctional facilities, or if they're older than such an age. But if they can make the argument that they are not as high risk, and the graphs again that I put in the website have shown how community programs, probation, well, it's not just a slap in the hand. They are getting house arrest. They, thankfully, they're with their parents, or sadly, there's some that do not have any guardianship. And that's another reason why some of these juveniles commit these crimes, because they just don't have anybody to guide them in the right direction. And again, this is why we need these juvenile courts, for the judge to act as a parental guidance, and also to like correct them in a way. These community programs also have supervision of them. They have to be showing up. They have to be there. They have to be there on time. They cannot, if they do so many infractions, they get sent back to court, and the judge reviews them, and then he finds out what to do, if to send them to an actual state correctional facility, depending on the case.
Well, we're closer down to that 11-minute mark. Any conclusive statements? I think you guys might want to.
I think that the programs, speaking on personal experience, I've been arrested before as a minor. It wasn't anything crazy. The severity wasn't anything wild. It's nothing wild now. It used to be wild then. Getting caught with pot used to be kind of like, oh, really? But now you get caught with pot now, it's kind of like, oh, okay, whatever. And it's true. It is kind of a slap on the wrist. But you get community service hours. They put you in programs, these awareness programs, the drug programs. And then when you're in there, it doesn't necessarily just talk about drugs. It does talk about how to, what impact is it having on your life, and is it something negative? What's going on at home? And it kind of tries to understand the meaning as to why you are committing certain crimes. I can validate that. They are trying their hardest with these minors that are trying to turn their life around. A lot of the times they do, and sometimes you do get the ones where they just don't get it. Mm-hmm. And I don't know how you guys feel about the California, the three strike. Do you feel that that's something that should be implemented across the U.S., or is it something that only that doesn't really work, because 3 strikes and you're out, and that's life. How do you guys feel about that?
Well, pretty short. At least what I can say about that is that it is a pretty hardcore kind of deal out there. It's always been argumented and contested over there with the people. Apparently, a lot of people support it. A lot of people don't. Some of the stronger so-called law and order southern states, some of them don't even have that. I think most of them do kind of have like an equivalent thing, but some of them don't even have that type of a 2 or 3 strike law. But I mean, it is definitely viewed as a strong, thing, both in the rehabilitation sense and in the punishment sense.
Do you feel that it's a stronger deterrent, more so than a sentencing would?
I think it is a strong deterrent, but I think there's a bigger question as to, is it actually necessary, or will it be workable in the future, something like that. And it's a matter of personal opinion, and people getting together and seeing what they're really going to want to do, or keep it or take it away.
Eduardo woke. He's woke.
No, incarcerate them all. Okay, life sentence for everybody. 3 strikes, you're out, dude.
Well, it is way better than the zero tolerance that we had in the 1990s or so, where they didn't even have a chance. As soon as they committed a crime, it was zero tolerance, and they were into the adult correctional facilities. That it might attribute to why we have so many people incarcerated right now.
Victoria?
Well, I think the 3 strikes can be a possibility to work with here in Texas. But, some teenagers, just don't care, and they will keep committing crimes. But there's others that, I don't know, to the first one, would they be able to erase them? If you commit only one can it be raised on your record like later in
Lawyers.
your life?
There's actually one where if you commit a crime as a minor, they do give you. It's called the first chance. It's called first chance, and it is for minors. You do certain classes, and it gets expunged off your record. You only do about 6 months, if anything, and that's it. I never had that opportunity.
Interesting.
And how do you feel about not having that opportunity?
It's fine. Again, like I said, it's based on on the severity of it. So I think because at that point, pot was a big thing. Like pot was like if you got caught with with maybe like a little nug, yeah, for sure, you're gonna get arrested. Bye. But like now, they look at it and they're like, oh, okay, just put that away or throw it on the floor and then crush it or however. Give it to me, right? Eat it. But I think it's okay. I think it's fine. I still had to go. I got the probation. They still give you the classes. They still do this and this. And then at the end of it, they give you the option. They said because it's a misdemeanor or because you were a minor, you can get this expunged. But I did have to go through all the steps. I had to go through the full steps. So it's okay. I came out all right. Look at me now.
Well, yeah, I guess if you did something wrong, you have to pay for it. Like if you don't want to go to court or something, you'll still have some consequences, and that's the consequences. Like going to the classes and community service and hours of your time, And I guess.
Have you ever been arrested before? Have you been in trouble?
No, sir. Ever.
Very nice.
I was scared straight by my parents.
Yeah, because.
Are you sure about that, Victoria?
I know, right?
Yeah.
I second doubts. Like,
Have you?
you got me thinking.
What?
You know?
He said yes already. What about you?
No, I'm clean.
What about you, Carmen? Ever?
Clean.
Clean, yeah. Bad boy over here.
It's okay. It's all right.
Ain't nothing wrong with it.
Nothing wrong with a little pot.
Oh, good. Well, last comments?
Oh, well, let me talk about the economic side of it. So not taking these juveniles to correctional facilities will save us tax dollars, which I will include in the website too. And this might help us to reduce also all these people that we have arrested that do want a second chance, that regret what they have done. Maybe we should make something like that for adults in the future, but right now we're focusing on juveniles, which we think that we have a higher chance of, like they said, as for saving. That's why we need these courts to act as parents and to divert them from this correctional state facilities where they might just get worse or have a negative thinking of the system, and just be with worse people that have a negative influence on them.
I think housing an inmate annually, it's 120. I think it's like 125,000
For what?
for per inmate, depending on the state. I think that's the average. It's like 100,000 because they get 3 meals a day. They have to clothe them, feed them.
Yeah, of course.
So if little programs like this does help the state, because it does, like she was saying, it does lower the revenue that they receive. And a lot of these prisons, they are for-profit prisons. So they're trying to get people in there because it only lines their pockets. So that's also something to look into also.
Hey, conspiracy theories. Just kidding. Just kidding.
Hello.
No, just kidding. Oh, it's real. It happens.
Yeah.
Well, guys.
Anything
Been
else
a
you guys
pleasure.
wanna add?
I think it's been good. I think it was good. Epstein did.
Yeah, unless Victoria. Nothing else, for sure.
Are you sure? Okay. No.
Huh?
Have you ever been to the Derby?
No. Stop.
Okay.
That's
What
pretty
else? Oh, what do we think about the families about these juveniles?
I think it's good.
Well, no. I want to rephrase my question. So what do we think about two scenarios here? What about the families that are present, and what about the families that are just everywhere? You know, there's no like affirmation of the family. Do you think that after this person under 18 commits a crime, goes to court, I don't know, they give him a chance, um, he got out, everything was okay, he will do it again? Do you think that's like a valid thing because he has a record already and he has like no family to support him? Do you think that it would be like, I don't want to say easy, but easy, yeah, to send it to jail just like that? Or would you think it would be valid to reformate all of his life in sort of way, to help him or help her? I don't know. Like get into the society like as an individual, like an active individual with a family, with a job, with I don't know, school, whatever, to get him out of the path that he's following.
Mhm.
Do you think that's valid?
Yeah, totally. Again, most of these kids that do not have anybody or a strong hand to keep them in the right direction, they always go to the, well, they don't always go, but there's most of them go to the wrong path because they don't have anybody to direct them to follow, or a good
Mentor.
or a good mentor. Yes.
Yeah.
This is why I think it's a good idea for them to serve as a parent for them, and I think it depends on like the risk, assessing the risk of the juvenile, because some of them just they don't want to get in the right path, but those that do and that understand that they have done wrong and that they could do better and that they have some saving, I guess we could say, they should go to these programs instead. Does that answer your question, or do you have any other questions that might?
Yeah, I guess I want to talk about a little of the economic side again. So you were saying that Yale's make a lot of money, need a lot of money to support the people that it's inside of it. But what about these programs? These programs need also a lot of funding too, because there's a lot of people that is gonna work there, like counselors, even psychologists, people that it's there to like work with them, I guess. What do you think people will think about, I don't know, cutting fund for like jails and giving it to this kind of programs to help like juveniles rebuild their lifestyle? Yeah, I guess that's a weird topic, like rebuild their lives. They haven't even started yet, but yeah.
Well, there's some programs such as DARE. There, they request or they find people who are there to work for free, pretty much. They're not for profit. So, in this program focuses on the juveniles to take them out of the system, and they pretty much do a community. They supervise them. They're supervised by the community. Like probation, I think the offender themselves has to pay the probation officer in order for them to be supervised. Right, Michael? Right, Michael's not in there. Please tell me about it. How much did that cost? How was it?
Tell us about your
Okay, first off, before I answer that, do you guys know who Officer McGruff is?
No.
No.
Really?
Enlightening
Where's
us.
he from?
Alright. He's from the DARE program.
Oh, okay.
No?
Well, it is weird. I'm sorry, because in Mexico we used to have that program with a lion and something, and it was the same. And when I moved here, I noticed that program was from here, and I was like, wow.
Well, can you guys give like a brief explanation of what it is or what it does?
Yes, Officer McGruff, he's the crime fighting dog, and he was part of the DARE program, and he did the outreach for kids to avoid crime and avoid drugs, because DARE stands for drug,
Well, it's part of the red ribbon thing, no?
Part of the red ribbon, yeah. And they don't do it in schools anymore. They actually took it out of the schools,
Mm.
and it's no longer given or taught in schools. You know, they used to do it like they would pull you out of class, and it'd be like a little thing. The sheriffs would be there,
Yeah.
and then they'd have McGruff, and then he would tell you like, hey, listen, don't do
Yeah,
drugs.
I had a notebook and everything, well, not a, it was like a book for the program that
Mhm.
it was completely like free, and we will take a class, like an entire class, to focus on the program. And yeah, it was like 2 police officers in the classroom, so they will literally show us like the notebook, like the topics, what to do in some circumstances. So yeah, I still remember the program for sure.
Yeah, I think that follows kind of what your question was right now is, do you think that they should cut funding for jails and put it more into programs? And I think what they're doing is they're doing it the opposite way. They're actually cutting programs and putting it into the jails because they feel that a lot of the programs, they're not really working out. Or, it is hard finding people that are going to be part of the program to actually show these or teach the program in itself. So I think it's going backwards in that sense. Because, I mean, when I was in school, they had that. And then there's people now, when I go to the gym, I go to EP here on the west side. And then they're out there.
TMI.
I go out there, they're out there, and it's the DARE program, and they're asking for donations, and they're asking for this and this. And what's crazy about it is that I've gone up, and I've never given a donation, but I have asked.
Well, it is sad that they're asking for donations.
And
Like,
they say that
they
they're asking
shouldn't.
for it because they're trying to actually get it implemented back into the schools. They're trying to integrate it back again. But I'll ask them too. I said, do you know who? I said, where's McGruff? How come McGruff isn't out here? They don't even know who McGruff is, and they're part of the program. So I think that's how long it's been out, and it's a lot of people don't.
Not even known anymore.
It's not even known anymore. And to follow back on Carmen's question as far as the probation fines, you actually pay your probation officer. You pay him $60 a month, depending on how long it is, right?
For how long did you pay? $60.
Excuse me?
For how long?
I paid for a year, $60 a month. And you pay it all the way until you're done. And that's just for the probation officer. That's for them. That's not including court fines. That's not including probation fees. So if you think that crime isn't
How
a
old
money,
were you when everything this happened?
17.
So you work for the money, right? To pay the $60 a month?
Did I work?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I got my job when I was 16.
Well, it is interesting to see that a 17-year-old worked to pay, what is the name? His probation? To
Court
pay
fees.
his probation and all the court fees, and we are not charging anything to the people that's in jail, and we are paying to them to be there, basically. It is kind of shocking that we cannot vote until 18, we cannot drink alcohol or drugs until 21. But you can work to
But
pay
you can do gender reassignment right now when you're 16.
Yeah, like.
Yeah.
But you can work to pay your
Wake up,
trial
Victoria.
and everything. Yeah.
Hey, I think
stop.
Michael was going to mention something about an obvious connection between crime and money. Right? Or something like that? Like pretty
Oh,
much being
Same.
part of the system you're paying and,
Yeah, crime pays, but it's not to us. It's to the state, and the state wants the revenue. The state wants, in essence, they want us to commit the crime. They're trying to lower these programs.
Mhm.
And of course, California is, it's one of the big states that have the 3-strike rule, and I think that's also a big thing because
How many do you have, though?
How many do I have?
Yeah.
Well, since Texas
Probably
doesn't
5.
Since Texas doesn't
Six.
have it, I have
Zero
like
tolerance.
7. But they do. They really want that revenue for the state, and they really do bank on crime. And here in El Paso, I think one of the highest crimes that's committed here is DWI, and that's that's a high crime here in El Paso. If you go further down south, the heavy crime that's down there is actually it's actually abuse. It's actually domestic violence, and that's a big crime down there in the border area of Brownsville, McAllen, So, I mean, pick your poison, I guess. But I think these programs, they do need to come back. But it's just the funding for it, I feel it's kind of being pushed aside. It's kind of on the back burner. And they would rather have you do the full thing. They would have you do the full term of a probation. They would have you, let's pay all these fines. Let's pay this and this, And then in the end, if you still don't learn, then we'll send you to jail. Because a lot of the first-time programs, they're saving it now for kids under 16. Kids under 16, 15, 14. I have a child right now that's in that, so, I can speak from experience. Carry on.
You
We'll
left me
review you guys.
speechless.
No comments, I guess.
That's tough.
And it is, it's wild.
How
And
much are you paying for it, right?
paying for what?
For the,
No, I don't pay anything.
is it like a free program?
This is part of the First Chance program, and because she's so underage, she's
Mhm.
only 14, and her crime was she was caught with pot. She has to take these classes, 6 classes, and they make you talk about your feelings, why are you committing crime, why are you doing this, why are you doing that, and then after that, once it's done, then it's like, okay, cool, and then we'll take it off your record, and it won't be on. But then that's it. That's the only chance that you get. You know what I mean? So then after that, if there's something else ever to happen, God forbid, it'd be the full thing. It'd be this, whatever, the pay this.
Do you think this actually helps her, or do you think that she might be like, oh, nothing happened to me, and I'm gonna do it again?
It's very hard to tell. It's very hard because when you're in it, you feel like, this, I don't want to be here, and it makes you want to be, it makes you kind of reflect. But then once you're out of it, and if you're hanging around,
You forget about it already.
it's kind of, you kind of forget, like, okay, done. Or if you're hanging around with the same crowd, or, if you don't really take it as serious as to when you're done, then you're going to be back at it again. And it's really to each its own. There's kids in there that you can tell they're gonna do it again. There's kids in there that they really are, and they're genuinely, it affects them in a sense that, you're there and you're with your parent and you have to do this, and how does it make you feel, and what's the perspective that's put into their eyes that you're sitting next to your parent and they see you like this? Is that something that you enjoy? Is that something that you'd want to see later on? So it does affect, and it just varies from child to child.
Was this program also costly for your parents, or was it funded by the state?
It's funded. Yeah, it's funded by the state. It's actually funded also through the school, depending if the school offers the program.
Okay.
So luckily, El Paso EPISD does offer these programs for offenders that are in school.
Until what age? 16?
I want to say 16. I think it's still until you hit high school, because since she's in middle school, the middle schools offer it. I'm not too sure about the high schools. I can't really comment on that, but I want to say maybe until 16 they'll offer these first time. Once you hit 17, you're technically considered an adult, and then they can just run you as an adult in any crime that you commit.
Maybe you don't know, but if you're 17 and, I don't know, this program is still offered, will you think your parent will be there? I don't think so, right? Because you go with your daughter, but if you're 17 and you do...
No. I think like if you commit a crime, like I said, at 17, you'll be considered an adult.
Okay.
So they won't even offer you this thing.
Mm.
They won't even tell you. They'll just be like, okay, boom, probation. Bye.
Pay.
Pay the money, please. And it still lands on the parents. It still does fall on us, because if they're not working, if they're not doing anything, I mean, who's paying for it?
You.
You know
And
what
what's your way of punishing that behavior?
What's my
Or
way?
do you
Jeez.
want the loan?
No, it's just you can't really,
What do you mean
I
you
think
can't really?
No.
Hands are wet.
Think of it this way. Nowadays, you can't really do anything to a kid. You can't do anything. It's technically abuse. Spanking, like the spankings that we got, that when we used to get hit, used to tell us go outside, get a switch, whatever. That's technically abuse now. And it's true. And the way society's going and how soft we're becoming, it's changing a lot. And that's why these younger generations, they feel like, oh, don't tell me anything. You're gonna hurt my feelings. And and it's very like I don't know what's happening. There's only two genders. I don't know what's going on.
Oh my God.
Just throw that in there.
So we're gonna get canceled.
Mine's gonna get canceled. So it when it comes to disciplining, like you kind of have to you really have to just talk to them. You really have to make them realize the issue at hand and how it's going to affect them and where they're going with
Well,
it.
I honestly don't think that talking is enough. In my opinion, I'm sorry.
We know what you do behind closed doors. And
I
I'll
grew in
make
a
sure not to
Mexican
report the
household in
abuse that
Mexico.
happens.
Let me talk. So I don't think just talking to a teenager will solve the things because they don't have the I don't know what to say, like they're not
Mental
mature
capacity.
enough to realize that they're doing it's wrong. They will say, "Oh yeah, I got it, yeah, okay, thank you, bye."
Or my friends
In my,
are doing it.
in my
to
cell
avoid
phone,
me.
everybody's doing it.
Mhm.
Everybody's doing it. I'm gonna do it too. I don't think just talking to them will make a difference on them.
Maybe not. But
Like,
at the end of the
I'm
day,
I'm not judging the way you're parenting, but I'm just saying my opinion that I don't think.
no. Definitely. At the end of the day, they're going to live their lives, and I can't always be there. Regardless, if I slap them,
She's 14.
regardless if I slap them around, they're still gonna leave the house. There's still gonna be an opportunity where they're gonna be alone. They're gonna be with their friends. They're gonna be. I don't have them in a dungeon or anything. So they're still gonna have that opportunity. But it's the fact that I put that out there and I explained it to them. And like I don't know if they, how they told you then. I was like, if you can't do the time, don't do the crime. And that rings true. If you can't do it, if you can't do it, then don't do it. And you have to, the kids, they're not dumb. They do dumb things, but they're not dumb.
Yeah.
They know exactly what's going on. Mm-hmm. And it takes that. It takes them getting in trouble. It takes them. It takes some type of repercussion for them. But they'll learn, and if they have to learn the hard way, then they'll learn the hard way. But unfortunately, like I said, I can't always be there. And they will make their own decisions. But they'll know that I told them. And it's not that I wasn't there for them. And they'll know that I was there. Mm-hmm.
Something to say, Eduardo?
I thought you were gonna clap, so I was gonna go along for a second. but
I was
like,
not clapping.
I thought you was.
I was not clapping for that.
No,
I was not.
okay.
Okay.
That's good.
I guess any comments? Any other comments? I guess that's it.
Oh, wait, did you answer the question if it cost you money or not? Or
Yeah, I did. And
Yeah.
It doesn't cost me. The school covers it.
Oh, the
and
school-
and
yeah,
the
sorry.
state covers it. Mm-hmm.
Well,
Definitely.
Well, it's
Definitely.
Great.
been a learning experience, guys.
Nice.
Pleasure.
Personal.
yeah, thank you for sharing all that, Michael.
Yeah, it was good, right?
Yeah,
It's good.
very.
Any personal shout outs for Mrs. Forsan before we?
No. Thank you for hearing us.
Have a
Thank
nice
you
day.
too.
Or watching us. I don't know. Who's graduating? Congrats.
Thank you.
You too, Carmen?
No.
Oh, that's just like, oh,
Oh,
yeah.
I was like,
Oh,
Thank you.
you're almost walking.
Almost.
Happy?
Thanks.
Excited?
Feels good.
Nice.
Finally.
Did you already take pictures?
We did.
Where'd
We
you
did.
take your pictures
I
at?
took
Sweet.
one at the other side of the campus, and then I took one at that West Side place with a guy that I know.
What other side? Mike Loya.
No.
My lawyer.
No, like
That's
on
just
the, like
ugly.
kind of like in the education center. Yeah, because I didn't want to take too many pictures,
Oh,
But,
true.
But I got this dude that I know that does portraits and stuff. So over there at the West.
Great.
Nice.
We get that, and then hopefully on the Sunday celebration.
Uh-huh.
Since when did they start doing things on Sunday? I thought everybody just walks on a Saturday, maybe a Friday.
What's on a
But they
Are you
started
walking
doing
on a Sunday?
See, Sunday
Ew.
they did it for the whole liberal arts. I don't know.
No, that's
Does-
I mean, it's cool.
Does
I
the
mean, who
days
cares?
change depending on the
Guys, ¿ya
college?
apagaron la cosa?
No,
No?
we're still talking.
Okay, do
But
you
we're
guys want to turn it off?
Well,
or-
anyways,
No? Así mero? Okay. Que escuche.
Bueno, cambiamos a
Let's say,
español.
well, thank you, though.
Cambiamos a español entonces.
Sorry, that's how my
Let's go ahead
brain
and
works.
conclude it.
My
All right,
first
thank you.
language is Spanish.
Bye
Stop
bye.
down, nomás.
Yeah, thank you.
No wonder my Michael's like